So here I was, all excited to watch Wonder Woman 1984 on my Roku TLC TV that streams 4K and alien messages, whatever, you know. And so I put it on and it was choppy. So I had to go to my Xbox, put it on there, change out my headphones, of course, but finally got it. Super excited for this. And then, not the Christmas present I wanted to unwrap, man. Before we get into the review, I do want to let you know we are having a giveaway. We are giving away this brand new adult medium-sized beauty of a shirt, which of course I'm a fan of. And all you have to do is give a thoughtful comment down below on either our review or the movie, and we will select one of the commenters for the giveaway. So make sure you guys monitor those comments because that's exactly how we'll be getting back to you. And speaking of getting back to things, let's get you guys to our review of Wonder Woman 84.
Wow. Well, I checked it out at the Alamo Drafthouse and I was thrilled to return to the movie theaters. And I'm glad that I went to the theaters to watch this. I think that it makes a difference. I'm a big proponent of movie theaters. And even though I somewhat agree with you that it wasn't the ideal Christmas gift, I enjoyed Wonder Woman 1984.
Okay, so it's been 3 years since Patty Jenkins brought us, the director, she brought us Wonder Woman. And of course, the first one was a great success. So we had the sequel, and in the trailer, it looks really good. It's set in 1984. You're getting Steve Trevor, the love interest, back, and it looks a little funnier. And so, yeah, we were expecting a blockbuster movie here. And so I didn't really enjoy it as much. You didn't mind it so much, maybe because you were in such awe with the big theater. To me, if I would have watched it in the theater, that would have just emphasized everything that was bad about this movie.
Well, I think that it does make a difference. One interesting thing that I learned is that Patty Jenkins actually co-wrote 1984.
See, and that's the problem.
She did not write Wonder Woman, the original. Maybe
Right.
that is the problem, because that is probably what is weakest about 1984 is the script. And I think that's where a lot of the problems do lie. And so maybe we can start talking about the story, right? So here, we have what I consider to be a fairly great opening sequence with, Diana being portrayed in a flashback as a young girl. And then you jump forward to the 1980s to see, of course, Diana played by Gal Gadot. And you have what I think is a more lighthearted story overall. There are a lot of little, calmer, romantic elements. And the movie focuses immensely on this plot device, right, centering around a stone, which kind of brings the storyline a little bit down. It bogs it down in my mind, because this stone, with this stone, anything is possible, basically. And that's where I feel the movie kind of like is, I don't know, it's a little bit predictable in a way. But anyway, those are my general thoughts on the storyline. Go ahead. What do you think?
Okay, so I'm going to give audiences a little bit of context here as to why I agree with you in that it feels very much like a comic book. Okay, in part one, of course, Patty Jenkins was the director. The story was from Zack Snyder, Alan Heinberg, and Jason Fuchs. I hope it's not the other pronunciation, but and then Heinberg also did the screenplay. Okay, that seemed like a really good team. Okay, this time around we have Jenkins again as a director, but she's also, like you said, a co-writer on the screenplay along with Jeff Johns, who's the chief creative writer at DC Comics, who has writing credits on several DC TV series, which can sometimes be cheesy, and he has production credits to most of the DCEU or DCEU, excuse me, movies. And so you get a lot of comic book flair in this. So to me, it's no surprise why this feels very predictable, very cliche, very tropey. You mentioned that plot device. It's called the Dream Stone, or people might call it the Wishing Stone. And I was like, what? This is the impetus for your conflict? This is going to be what drives it forward? I couldn't believe it.
That is definitely what weakened the movie. What I think gives this movie its strength, though, is the themes that it communicates.
For sure.
Although it might be overstuffed with the themes, and although they might be a little bit heavy-handed.
Were you reading my notes?
It really touched me. The movie really touched me, and especially towards the end of the movie. And I really appreciated the messages There are so many of them to go over. As far as sexual harassment is concerned,
Right.
obviously it's there. Women empowerment, obviously. Bullying, when it comes specifically to Barbara's character played by Kristen Wiig,
Hmm.
you know, there's definitely that in there. The desire for power leading to corruption is a big one, of course. The idea that you can't take things for granted, and that the more that you want or desire something, you know, you're going to have to sacrifice something in return. You're going to lose something in return. What do you think?
In the beginning, I like that opening sequence, right, where she takes a shortcut. It's a lesson learned. Okay. Then there was a mall scene. The mall scene to me immediately gave me vibes of like Superman from the 80s, you know, Richard Lester,
Mhm.
Richard Donner, you know? And so it had that kind of 80s camp feel. And I was like, oh, this is going to be kind of somewhat silly, comical, nostalgic for me. I like where this is going. And then after that, hell, I feel like I didn't see Wonder Woman for like 45 minutes. I was like, wow, okay. You know, you bring back Steve Trevor, okay, in a weird way
True.
that gave me kind of Quantum Leap vibes, which I was like, that's crap.
The sole reason why he's in the movie is to really add development to Wonder Woman's
Right.
character.
Yeah.
Which brings me to, you say that she's gone for 45 minutes, but all of the characters in this movie, in my opinion, are there to augment Diana's character. They're not impressive, they're kind of tropey, they're kind of silly, but they're all there for the purpose of really adding some dimension and some meaning to Diana's growth, to her character, and to cement the messages in the movie. And that's where I like the movie.
Well, I'm glad
Take
you liked
over.
it. I'm glad you liked it.
Thank you.
Okay, I saw what they were doing. I was like, okay, this is obviously character growth for her, but I'm here to watch a superhero action movie.
I
You
know
know,
you are.
don't give me 45
I
minutes of
like
like
the fact that it was different. I like the fact that it was different from the original.
oh,
Although
that's
I did miss that espionage, intrigue, and kind of mythology feel of the original. I really missed that in this movie, you know? So
yeah,
definitely
that was
not a
nice.
perfect movie, but I didn't mind that. But
Yeah.
anyway,
Well, you know, they did give her a compelling conflict, you know, with Steve, and I don't want to get into it, but that was good. That was good. I thought there were some occasional moments of comedy that I enjoyed, but pretty much that's where it ends because I didn't like the action sequences. The CGI was garbage. The string work was laughable,
the
and
CGI was garbage,
I
really?
thought it was,
Why?
yes, I thought it was.
What?
What was good, what worked for me were the slow motion shots. Okay, because that seemed more realistic. You had her and the Amazons flying all over the place, like they were trapeze artists, you know. And the CGI worked. Look, come on, when she was sprinting on the streets, that's lazy.
Really?
Yes, I was like, this is
But I thought that they were trying to mirror kind of like, you know, the older Wonder Woman kind of
Linda Carter,
actress. Yeah, I
right?
thought that the feel of the movie was supposed to be old school and kind of look fake a little bit, because I thought that it was a callback in general to the 80s and to an older feel. Like
To,
that's in my mind what I thought
like to an
anyway.
older way of executing action sequences, right?
Kind of, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
That's
Well,
what
I
I
mean,
thought at
if that
least.
was the case, then I guess they achieved that. But for audiences nowadays, you know, it's been how many decades? I mean, I don't think that's really gonna be engaging for them. You know, I thought of Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon and kung fu movies. You know, and you know, there's a little bit of appeal to that type of string work, whatever. But there's like an art to it. But this was not art. It was just all over the place, and I was like, oh man.
There seemed like with the editing, like it was all over the place, right? Like it was kind
Yep,
of confusing
absolutely.
and
Mhm.
hard to follow.
I agree with you. You have Maxwell Lord jumping from place to place to place to place, doing the same thing, same thing, same thing, same thing. Plot device thrown in there. Suddenly he turns around and, oh, look, this is my device to get me to the next part of the movie, you know? And I was like,
Oh
what
man.
are you guys doing to Wonder Woman? Oh my gosh.
Storyline was a lot more cohesive in the first one. You're right about
It
that,
was
you
more,
know.
it was more focused.
It
It
was.
was
It
more
was.
focused,
I'll
more
give you
serious
that.
tone, more engaging tone, great pacing, everything. That first one blows this one out of the water. Let's go back to the characters.
Let's do it.
Starting off with Gal Gadot, I saw a couple scenes where I wanted more of an emotional delivery. When she saw Steve Trevor, I thought she should have been shocked to where her eyeballs fell out, and it was just like, "Oh, I missed you." And I was like, "Really? That's it? It's been how many decades?" You know, I was like, "You missed me on that one."
I think that that goes back to her strengths, though. As a character, I don't know. I think that she reacted the way that, I mean, the way that I see her is nothing really phases her because she's been through so much, you know, and she
Hmm.
has control of her emotions as Diana, right? So I thought that that was fine. I just think, again, that it goes back to the writing and that it doesn't give her really the ability to showcase a good range of
Mm.
emotions or acting.
But on the flip side, in her vulnerable scenes, I thought they were really good. There was a scene where she was bawling, and I was like, wow, this is what I wanted. You know, it wasn't perfect how
Yes.
they executed that as far as the editing, but I thought that emotion wise, she hit it, and I was like, okay, good. That's what I wanted.
So what about Kristen Wiig as Barbara slash Cheetah and Pedro Pascal, you know, the Mandalorian
Right.
himself as
This is the
Maxwell
way.
Lord, right? I thought that they both did a great job in their performances. Of course, Barbara's role was kind of empty and not really fully developed, but I thought that she did well with what she was given. And Pedro Pascal, kind of what I liked about him is that he kind of descended into madness in a believable way. He didn't over exaggerate the madness, I felt. I think it was believable for me.
Oh, I do want
Yes.
to mention Chris Pine. Chris Pine in
Mhm.
this movie, to me, I thought maybe he looked a little bored, maybe just kind of going through the motions. But a lot of it I thought was, again, such a bad script. And I never felt like I did
He
when
was
I
kind of,
watched him in the first Wonder Woman movie.
you know, so the movie is called Wonder Woman 1984. And while the movie does show the 80s in an accurate light, and you get to see a good sense of how people dress, the hairstyles, and you know how people were excited to go to the mall, and that was a thing back then, and all this
Right.
stuff, you know. I just feel like they didn't really celebrate the 80s enough and didn't make it part of the integral fun of the movie, and they really should have
Right.
done that, you
I,
know.
I could not have said it better, man. I mean, this obviously is not Stranger Things, that show from Netflix, that transports you perfectly back there. I just kind of felt like they had it in there, but it was a little too much on the nose, like they were trying to highlight the 80s, like, here, remember this, remember that, we're going to show you some breakdancing, some hairstyles, some cars. And then that was pretty much it. Like there was a dump at the beginning, and then I kind of felt like the rest of the movie could have been in present day. So with all that said, guys, I'm gonna let you know that I felt like Santa didn't bring me a present. I felt like I got coal in my stockings, to be completely honest. The only thing I'm gonna add that I haven't said is that although I greatly appreciate the themes in this movie, I did feel like it was overly preachy, and they kind of used their message as an actual plot device to affect the outcome, which I thought was completely unrealistic. I thought it was unbelievable. And I was like, wow, you went there, you did that. I mean, good for another movie, not for this movie. And so for all of that, it is no surprise that I'm going to give this only 2 reels out of 5. What about you, Beto?
Wow. Wow. I am shocked that, wow, well, a lot of people are not liking it. I certainly will not give this movie 2 reels because, oh wow, that's a really low rating. I am shocked, sir. But okay.
Well, I was
So
shocked.
I do agree that the original is better. I guess my expectations were not so high for this movie. I was more
Mhm.
just excited to go back to the theaters. I welcomed a different type of feel. I welcomed not necessarily, an action-packed film, but a film where there was some character growth. Yes, the themes were heavy-handed, but they were still relevant and they were still good. I am going to give Wonder Woman 1984 3.5 reels out of 5. Most of these superhero movies follow the same formulas to some degree. So, I wasn't looking for anything that different,
Yeah,
I
I
guess,
got you.
at the end of the day.
Yeah, you're like, at the end of the day, hey, it's a superhero movie. What do you expect?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. All right, guys. Well, we hope that you got what you expected in this review, whether you liked it or didn't like it. Again, this movie has a lot of mixed reviews, so we would love to hear what you have to say in the comments down below. And please remember to like, share, and subscribe to our channel, and then hit that bell button for notifications so that you see every single time that we upload a video.
And don't forget to hit us up on social media. We're on Facebook at Reel Screeners and Instagram Reel.Screeners. And as always, please return to witness our next real take on movies.